You weren't afraid of the police presence?
No, I wasn't. Nobody else was either at the time.
What can you do through the Brown Berets, or through the idea of the Brown Berets, to alter the present and change the future? So, let me introduce you. First of all, starting at my far right, you are? And when did you become a Brown Beret?
Became a Brown Beret in February 2006.
And what led you to become a Brown Beret?
The walkouts in 2006 and the explosion of my being there.
Can you speak up a little bit louder?
Yeah.
Because the microphone is up there.
The explosions of the walkouts that I got for the punishment, and because I got kicked out, so it was unjust. So I just thought that it was better to go to the Brown Berets, to have a better thinking for the Brown Berets, and to get other people to know how they're being treated in schools.
Okay. All right. And your name is?
My name is Anthony Topete.
And when did you become a Brown Beret?
I organized the Antelope Valley chapter of the Brown Berets in October of 2006.
2006.
2006.
Had you been a member before that?
In college, when I was LA College, I was a member while I was in school, and I didn't stay in school that long. So I'm getting back into it.
Okay. All right, let's move along here. We have I think she's the organizer of the Los Angeles chapter.
LA chapter. My name is Rona Fields. And
could you speak up a little bit louder? I want to make sure we've got you on.
my name is Lorena Jaramillo. I am the organizer for LA chapter.
Okay, and what led you to become a Brown Beret?
Well, I've been working with Brown Beret agenda for 20 years. But I decided to put this uniform in, come on in front line because the needs. It's extremely needy. You talk about the dropouts. Well, there is programs, they don't reach the children. That's why they dropouts. And you talk about gangs, there is a programs, they don't reach our children, like prevention, remediation, intervention programs. Our kids don't reach those programs. And our kids not reaching the educational curriculum, the same curriculum programs as another ones. Like, let's example, we have different type of teachers, different kind schools. Some schools, they need more needs. Some teachers needs more staff development. There's a lot of issues why some kids do better than others. But let me tell you, the truth is some kids are being discriminated. They're being treated unfairly. That's why I become a Brown Beret. And because something very important, some persons who work right now in the education system has been victimized. My child is why I become a Brown Beret. And I'm not finished. I just started.
Okay, and next to you?
My name is Francis Jaramillo Rosenberg, president of the LA chapter, the student-led chapter. And I became a Brown Beret due to the social injustice and the LAUSC in high school. The walkouts in particular that happened in 2006 were immigration. And I've been active, and I grew up in the environment of knowing my rights and protecting the rights of my people. Because my mom's been an activist for many years, so for like forever I've gone to marches. I'm 6 years old, so I
forgot to say I'm a labor activist.
You're labor activist. Which is the direction that many of the Brown Berets have taken over time. I mean, they didn't start out as labor activists, but many of them have become organizers. Back in 1967, many of us were drawn to the Brown Berets because we were already involved in Huelga. Huelga. It's the Cesar Chavez's movement.
Yes.
Grave pickers. And the Brown Berets, Chavez had tried to organize in Los Angeles. And he said that Los Angeles was the grave of organizations. And organizing Mexican Americans was the tomb for organizers. So you get some idea of what it was like to try to organize in 1967. And yet, many of the original Brown Berets became activists in labor organizations. So some of it they got from their Beret experience, some of it they got because Huelga itself became such a powerful force and an inspiration. So now let's go into the personal and the social objectives. We've got something about your personal reasons for becoming involved and becoming activists. But now we've got to figure out what will it take to engage this next generation, and what are the social programs that take priority for this next generation. What can we do? I mean, I'll just throw out a bunch of them, okay? I mean, one of the things that I discussed with Joe Rosso, who was one of the original leaders, although he wasn't a Brown Beret, he was a leader in the Chicano community. And one of the things we talked about was the really serious need for mentoring. Now, Frances was fortunate because her mother could be her mother and her mentor. But had her mother not been there for her, where would she have found mentoring?
Where would I have found mentoring?
Yes.
Well, I would have to say it would come from... My mom has mentored me really well.
Yes, but you see,
really been...
if she hadn't been there, what if you...
Where would I got guidance?
Right, the kind of...
Guidance. Well, let me tell you something. The counselors in our school, they're not doing a sufficient job. They're not. There's no personal communication between the counselor and the student. It's just every year. I would have to say, like, in 1 year, I've seen my counselor only one time. And that's for graduation check if I'm doing well and so on. But there's no personal relationship going on between the counselor and the students. So I wouldn't have got that guidance or mentoring from my counselor either. And I believe the only counseling I would have achieved would be from teacher and my teachers and friends, I have to suppose, because friends, adolescents, peers are the greatest influence for growing up.
And that could be a very...
And it could be negative or it could be positive.
Yes.
Definitely, it can be negative or it can be positive, depending on your peers' point or your peers' ideology of life, or how all the way around. So I would have to. There needs to be something done. We need some programs because counseling not the question.
Mentoring can be done by people in any occupation who are willing to take under their wing some younger people with whom there's a mutual identification, and to try to help them move towards some of the goals, the career goals that they might have. In other words, if you're a teacher, and obviously you're teaching, you're mentoring, you're counseling many children at the same time, but a mentor is somebody who takes particular interest in particular mentees and spreads themselves to provide for those mentees the boost up.
Let me explain something. There is no such mentoring for our new generation. That is why our new generation is losing identity. Because extremely is needed in order to maintain a strong self-esteem and do well in schools.
Yes.
Again, prevention, remediation, all these programs, intervention, are not reaching our new generation, our new youth. They don't. Something very important, like in the curriculum of instruction, they don't see their future, they don't see their history, they don't see that society is not really accepting them and then they walk. And there is no one interesting really to mentor this generation of Mexican Americans. No. Why? Let me tell you, you mentioned before, what is your future? What do you think the future? Okay, my future is this. We're gonna get strong, politically, economically, and socially. Demographics, the numbers is saying it. The numbers speaking up. But education is the base. And this is how our kids is being victimized. Our children are victims of conspiration, Machiavelli conspiration by those selfish people who just don't want to see the new generation of Mexican Americans to get educated because they see us as a danger. I don't know why. They should, that kind of people should see the reality. These kids will pay the Social Security for you, for the next new retirement people. Why should you help them? Why should you give them the right programs, the right mentoring, the right instruction? Why? Our kids being denied to have access to equal opportunities in the education system. So you have the answer. So we're in a conspiration. The kids, everybody's conspiring against our children. Why?
Well, give me some suggestions about how we can engage this next generation in taking social action.
I think this generation should be engaged if we make them strong with this identity, accepting them. If people doesn't accept you, you're not going to feel welcome getting to certain society. So I think if this system help this new generation, accepting them and helping them in an appropriate manner, it will be the engage the system is looking for. Because this system really needs to engage this generation.